Thanks for tuning in to the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. It is episode 107. With me, my co-pilot, as always,
Scott Larson.
And I am Josh Roop. And this week, we have a very special guest on. But Scott, before we get to that guest, who else do we want to talk about?
Flipping out pinball. If you have that itch and you want to scratch it, please contact Zach and Nicole Manny at Flipping Out Pinball. They have all things pinball and even other stuff. If you want to put a golden tea in your room, or hey, if you want to do one of those Raw Thrills Jurassic Park games and just drive that into your basement, they can hook you up. They've always been really good to work with, and so just reach out to them. Go to Flipping Out Pinball. Zach is very responsive through texting and Facebook, but there's also a contact number there for him. So just reach out. They've always been good friends of the show.
And it sounds like they've got some Pulp Fiction still available. Not the LEs. Those things want like hotcakes. But if you're looking for that classic edition, you can definitely get your hands on them. Definitely worth your money. I heard it was amazing at Texas Pinball Festival. But we want to get someone on to talk a little bit more about it because there's been some information floating around and we want some solid answers, right? So we asked our good friend Butch Peel to come back on. It's been a couple of years, Butch. How you been doing?
I've been doing great. It's nice to be able to talk about what I've been doing. So
what exactly have you been doing with CGC? It's been a couple of years since we last talked to you.
Well, you guys brought me on when I first joined up with CGC, and of course, all this stuff was super secret back then. But when I very first talked to them on the phone, and I heard about the project that was undergoing with Mark and doing Pulp Fiction, and being in a position to do the manual for Mark's comeback game, that was really exciting prospect for me. So it's like, yeah, like when they asked Mark if he wanted to do a pinball, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. Heck yeah. Sure, where? Let's go. So I've been working on the manual now, like we have been with the game. The Chicago gaming play mechanics going back and forth, and constantly trying to improve things. We've had a lot of people talk about bake time for this game, a lot of time for it to get, the cream to rise up, the things that we really liked in the games to make sure that we got them tweaked up and working as well as we possibly could. So there's a lot of changes and things. I document stuff and have to go back and change things because we updated and all that. So it's been a long process to get to where we're at, but it's so exciting to be able to see people over the Texas Pinball Festival weekends play and actually enjoy what we've been working so hard on. And Marcus and those guys that play mechanics and CGC, especially before I came on board, many years even before I even started. But man, it's been a great, fun thing to work on.
Now, when you guys go to shows and you're displaying the game, what are you guys looking to bring back from the experience of the show?
Well, for one thing, you've got a lot of audits on the game, so the game keeps track during all the play during the weekend, the heavy, continuous play. You get a lot of feedback on what kind of shots are being hit, how many modes are being started, how many people are finishing them, how many jackpots they collect, whether they are able to complete the modes, if anybody gets all the way through to some of these mini modes, wizard modes, and whether those are completed and how far they get and how many times that happens, how long the balls last, how long play is. You get a lot of feedback for Josh, especially like on his rules and things, to see how difficult things were. It seemed like people were kind of progressing in the game a little bit. It seemed like everything was stonewalled, or how approachable was the game? How many times could people get multi-ball? How many games it took for certain features to be revealed, and a lot of good feedback there. And we're also standing there watching people play the games too, and you're just seeing people's reactions, and the people that you had 2 or 3 people playing, and you'd have 2 of them sitting up there with their ear next to the speaker, listening to the call out so they could hear better. And, just the smile and the joy of, people seeing this game. I knew it when we had video out of the game and people saw that and they got really excited over that. I told Mark, I said, when people are able to play and hear the game, it's going to be that much better. And it really was. So a lot of different angles you pick up. And of course, you see if things break, you see how things hold up. You get a lot of information when you play a game for 3 days straight like that, or 4 of them in this case.
Well, and from all the feedback that I've got from Texas Pinball Festival, people are loving this game. It's easily in the top 3 of everyone's choices I've heard, and the theme integration that you guys have went with has been astounding. Someone had mentioned the shot, which I guess is one of the final modes, and just the integration of the lights. That scene in Pulp Fiction when they're trying to revive Uma Thurman's character, and you guys have integrated the lights so it's like heartbeats, and you're hearing her heartbeat thump thump, and
It's yeah,
the son of a
it's
preacher man
amazing.
just, oh yeah.
I actually was with David Thiel when he met the guys at Play Mechanics for the first time, and it was right around Expo time last year. He came for Expo last year. We went over to Play Mechanics, he and I, and then we went to CGC together, and I introduced him to Mark for the first time in person. They met. It was kind of cool. But I saw George show David Thiel and got to listen and see. David had never seen a topper before. He was still working with a game without a topper, his development game, and to see him look at all of his, and he doesn't have RGB LEDs, all these kind of things in his game that are just really cool in the final, and to see how George choreographed to his sound, how the lights and everything worked. And you're like you say, that's one of that is the final roll scene mode. That's the last one. You have to complete all the others to get up to it. So it's really hard to get there. But man, it was so amazing watching the topper and the lights and everything changing and heart beating and the lights going in and out and the colors changing, and then that how he choreographed that with the sounds and the coughing and things that she was doing. It is amazing. It was really amazing. And to see David's face, he was just crazy excited about it.
Well, I want to know too, there is a lot of emphasis. This is a Chicago gaming company game with Play Mechanics. What are we looking percentage wise? Is it just kind of Chicago gaming's producing the game, or have you guys had a lot of input with how the game has been built?
Well, that's something I've been working my way through the Pulp Fiction hype thread on Pinside. 76 pages is a long ways to get through. That's a lot of posts and a lot of repetitive stuff and a lot of off topic and everything. But trying to go through some of that, and I've seen that people just seem to be really confused about how the breakdown came about, what exactly each company is doing, and the best way I can describe it. It started as a production and distribution and marketing. That the website and things like that would be on CGC's side of the fence, and then the design and development and all that would be on Play Mechanics. But they really got a lot more blurred than that during the production and development of the game. So it's really a collaborative partnership. I've had some input with Mark. On some things on the game that we Jim Thornton and I got together and dressed the game all up in that black anodized hardware. Just we had said, well, would Mark like this? And they were kind of at CGC. They were like, well, I think we were thinking of doing that at the one time, and we didn't really like it. But Jim and I fixed the game up like that. And Mark was coming over that afternoon. We changed all the hardware out, and he looked at it and he said, I love it, I love it, I love it. So we went with it. So things like that just happened. I talked to him about rubber rings at the beginning and replacing some things. We decided to put the passive ball stop in the ball trough to protect all the the plastic back panel and all of the beautiful sculptures and things on the game. So and you got Doug working with him hand in hand with George doing the programming of the topper and the mechanics of the topper. It's really it's really blurred as to who does what. It's a team effort, and we really all parts of it. Play Mechanics helped some with the marketing and things, the materials too, and helped outline what we wanted and wanted to put on the website so to coincide with the teasers and everything. Everything just came together perfectly and fit. So it was really cool, and it's a team effort. It's there's no stovepipes there where you stay in your lane and no one was ever told to do any of that. So it's been really cool. If somebody had an idea, they floated it. If everybody liked it, we went with it. If people didn't like it, they weren't afraid to say, I really don't think that's a good idea. So it was a great team effort, and this has been an amazing team to work with too. It's just been very fun.
This seems to be a game that everybody that was involved was really excited for this theme and really excited for the integration. You can tell when it seems like a team's like, yeah, I got this assignment and I put it together. This seemed like a passion project for everybody.
Yeah, you're starting with Quentin Tarantino, I think. I mean,
Right.
all the way down to the guys building them on the line. It's just it's amazing the passion flowing through. I had said in my Texas presentation when me and Mark were up there that that the guy that started Atari had said when he started, he hired passion, and that's what made Atari explode so quickly. And this is a guy that had Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak working for him in his garage. When he started this thing, but it's like passion breaks through barriers. Passion doesn't take no for an answer. Passion does whatever it takes to make it work. They work extra hours. They put extra effort into it. And everybody, as George put it to me one time, George Petro, everybody doing everything they can to make the game better. And it's really about the game. It's not about trying to self promote or anything like that. It was being proud to be part of something that as a whole, you could say I helped with that. It wasn't something I did by myself, but I was part of that, and it's really cool.
So for the people who are involved in the process to get a game on your own, so how does this work? Do you guys have to go into the same network that everybody else has to go through, or do you get like a players, I guess a collaborators edition, something that you guys can get? I'm just curious how this all works.
You get a team T-shirt. That's
Yeah,
one thing.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Everybody was asking about those at Texas, so they're pretty bad. Bad mother flipper on the back. I say, so there's not a lot of people with those around. But I got my prototype Pulp Fiction a couple of weeks before Christmas, so I've had one for quite a while, and I was one of the last guys to get it. Josh had one for quite a while. They've had him over at Mark and George's place at Play Mechanics for quite a while. Dave had a development game, but his was an older one, and to me, I'd rather have a prototype one than the production ones. But if chance gets to get a production one too, that'll be cool too. But mine's an LE, so it will have a topper. It doesn't have one yet, but I will have the topper and everything, and it's just really cool to that was part of the first thing I talked to Doug when I was getting offered the job at CGC. I said every new game I get one. That's take that as part of my the component of my pay because I'm a fanboy and a pinball collector first and foremost, and I just love this stuff. So yeah, it is cool. I mean, when the LEs come out, they'll officially have a group of them. I'm sure that are set aside for the team. The artist at Play Mechanics, Scott Mikulski and George, and I'm sure everybody over there will get one that worked on the game. It's just a cool thing, something you were very proud of.
Well, and what shocked me is like you guys had talked about, I think it was on the featurette, how Doug wanted to make the topper. I don't know many presidents of companies that are like, you know what, I'll be back in like a week with the topper, and this thing's astounding too. Like I, I think that's why they sold out so quick. Is these toppers are like
Oh, the
integrated.
topper. Yeah, the topper
Yeah.
is great. CGC does toppers the best.
Yes.
And
One
where did
hundred
that
percent.
come from? I mean, that stuff that's been Doug's kind of niche. He's
Mhm.
he's really gotten involved with those toppers, and he feels like he's got to outdo himself every time. It's like how we were talking about it during Cactus Canyon, topper days. Is how are we ever going to make something better than this, or that measures
I
up to this?
I think you did.
Yeah, I think
And I have a Cactus Canyon. I think that this is more eye catching.
And I guarantee you, there's more aspects to Doug Duba than just doing toppers and disappearing for a while. The guy immerses himself in all kinds of things, and you will never meet another guy that runs a company that's like Doug Duba, just on a bunch of different fronts. He's involved with everything, and that's the
yeah,
way he loves it. It's why he does it. So
yeah. No, he's doing a great job there, and it's showing, right? I
and
mean,
David Thiel coming in. We were talking about David Thiel earlier, and hearing the music and all that. It's kind of an interesting story the way he came into play because when I started, as soon as I started in 2020, I went out to dinner with Doug the first week that I was up here in Chicago, and he said, you know, anybody who does sound, we need a sound guy really bad. And I said, well, you know, one of my best friends, David Thiel, does sound. And he says, well, can you talk to him and see if he's interested in doing it? And I had just talked to him like the week before, and I knew where he was at with the Deep Root stuff. He was still involved with that. He was still under a quote unquote exclusive contract, but it was kind of ebbing and coming to an end. Things were not doing so well. Let's just say that over there. And I knew David's relationship with them was deteriorating. So I mentioned to him, you know, about the Pulp Fiction thing. I couldn't tell him what it was exactly, you know, the title, but I told him, you know, that Play Mechanics and CGC needed a sound guy, and he was very happy to contact the guys at Deep Root and see if they would take him out of his exclusive role there so that he could do some side work. And they did. And, you know, Mark was ready to pass on. He's like, oh, I talked to Dave. He's still under contract with Deep Root. It's not going to work. And, you know, sorry that didn't work out. I wasn't going to let it. Wasn't going to let that happen. I was like, wait a minute. We can work something out. I'm sure we can. We were able to. And so it's really cool. And I'm really proud to have been able to help make that happen.
Definitely. Well,
So-
and
Go ahead, Josh.
well, actually, no, you go ahead, Scott, because I feel like my question
No,
deviates
you go
out of-
ahead. No, you go ahead. All right.
You do it.
You. Okay, me. Okay, so let's talk about there. I guess there were some mixed messages, and I know this is hard with manufacturing to nail down anything. So we know that there is no official manufacturing guideline of we're going to put these out first and then these out. I would venture to say that this is more of a collaborative process. You're trying to get some out there so people can see them, and that's a very similar similar marketing that other manufacturers have been able to do. We know that Stern does that. What is your approach to these games? Because there's 3 models, correct?
Right. There's a coin-op edition with a standard cabinet mount start button and a standard black powder-coated Suzo hat dollar bill acceptor ready coin door. That I've been on location. I keep track of a bunch of games for my buddy, and down where I live, I'm on the weekends taking care of games, cleaning and repairing a bunch of Stern and JJP and other brand games. And I see people struggling to figure out how to start a game. And our start button on that stainless steel door is very small. It's lit and everything, but I've seen these bright flashing lights that these guys just can't see. So it's nice to have that coin-op edition there. I think that's a great idea. And we're going to need dollar bill acceptor capability. So that's going to be kind of your first priority, right? You want to get it out to the masses. So that's going to be the first thing you want to do. So we came up with that idea and made a special edition, coin-op edition around that. But, you know, the entire not having a date when you're going to ship this thing, it's kind of a natural flowing culmination of the process of designing and getting this game ready. The extra bake time that we had, we're only able to do that because nobody had a schedule and said, you got to do it by this date. It's got to be out. Everybody was doing their other things, and we're doing this too on the side. And then it became more and more, you know, getting closer and closer, and we're getting it more and more the way we want it. But there was really no pressure to have it out at this certain time by this certain date. And so we're just, when we're asked about when are they going to be shipping, it just kind of seems natural to say that, you know, we're going to do it as quickly as we can, like we've done every other part of this process, but we're going to do it right, and we're going to do it in a certain order. We do have a plan, and the plan is, of course, to get coin-op games out there first, so we can get some of these coin-op editions out. We want to make some SEs to get the process down. We like to have everything, you know, flowing well, and people know how to build things really well. We have no surprises by the time we are putting LEs out. So we'll do a run of SEs, and then we'll do some the LEs after that, and run them through all the way, and then do more SEs and coin-ops at the end. That's kind of what the plan will be.
So when we talked to Mark and Josh, Mark had originally said that they had come out with a very rough draft of what they want Pulp Fiction to be, and then Quentin kind of came in and said, I don't want it as modernized, right?
Right.
But we're also hearing some conflicting ideas of that as well. He set the record straight with that, Butch.
Well, I put a rendition up of the initial concept of the concept of the concept way back when. This is like your first ideas, and I put a picture of that up at Texas on one of our first slides. And Mark talked a little bit about his first wide body design. It had a gun handle for the ball shooter. He was going to put ramps and a bash toy in there. He'd have a subway. He was going to have all these ball locks and things. He was going to have an LCD on it, all these things. But when you try and make a visual rendition of that, you're just really getting a very, very rough thing out there to do exactly what we did in this case. Find out if you're on the wrong path early on before you put a lot of effort into it so that you can get on the right path before you start really putting a lot of details in it. So to see people talking about, well, Quentin Tarantino needs to be credited as part of the designer of this game, that really isn't that isn't the way it should go. I mean, he said you were on the wrong path, Mark. Start again. This is more what I had in mind. He sent some pictures of things like strikes and spares and some of these hand drawn artwork and things, and said this is what I'm looking for. I want something that looks like it was from the 70s and 80s. That's the time period that Quentin loves, and so that's what we were doing. And so back in those days, they really weren't showing every single thing, and he wasn't telling them, move this target over there. You should have, this shouldn't be a vertical up kicker. It should be some kind of eject hole. He doesn't have that kind of input into the design. That just didn't happen. And for people to say now that thank God he got involved, or it would have been a horrible looking game like this. I mean, the concepts are always going to look a little offhanded when you look at the final project and the final product.
Definitely.
Well, people don't go with their first whitewood. I mean, that's the whole point of having a whitewood, is to set it up and try it out and make changes as needed.
Way before a whitewood. This is concept of what the artwork might look like, and they're just using cut and paste, images from the film and things like that. There's nothing like the game was going to look. It was just a rough. This is kind of what we're thinking to begin with before we even start heading towards a whitewood. And if this isn't what you want, please let us know. And boy, did he let them know. So
he was not shy about it one bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he had an idea in his mind what it was going to look like, but he couldn't have put it on paper any more than they could have on that concept, right? But when he saw it, he knew it, and when they hit the mark, that was when it was like, okay, we have an approved artwork. We have an approved, look to the play field. Everything looks okay to him. Characters are right the way he wants it, because it's got to be him. Pulp Fiction is Quentin Tarantino's baby, period. Miramax is a rubber stamp kind of sign off on the thing, but he has veto rights on virtually everything, and every single thing in his Pulp Fiction comes right through his desk, and he says yes or no to it. Every single thing. That's how important it was to him.
Wow, that's cool. Actually, I didn't know that
license. Yeah, I mean, it just means that much to him. He's that proud of it, and doesn't want anything to bend or twist or reshape that image that he's got in his head of what it should be.
So tell me about, this theme can be controversial. It's not going to go into Chuck E. Cheese. I'll put it that way.
Well, it could. But, Chuck E. Cheese. You can do that.
This is an exclusive. We're going to do Flipping the Script on autism again, and we're going to be putting one of these in a children's hospital.
Pulp Fiction, yes. Yeah, that would be
Pulp
interesting.
Fiction.
Say what again?
Yeah.
Adult version, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
if you believe all that, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you.
There are bridges in Brooklyn. Okay, so how do you walk that line of trying to figure out, so we're trying to maximize the audience while being true to Pulp Fiction, because Pulp Fiction is a movie not for everybody.
Pulp Fiction is a vulgar movie. I mean, that's all there is to it. There's a lot of vulgarity in it, and if you're going to do that theme, you've got to be able to add that. You don't want to abandon a lot of the things that made Pulp Fiction what it is, and you can kind of clean them up a little bit. Right off the bat, you got to do something with the vulgarity. The profanity is just, it's there, it's everywhere. And then you're going to do all the call outs. People that are wanting this theme, that love this theme, are in it to a good degree because of Samuel L. Jackson and those words that he uses all the time. And you're going to, right off the bat, you got to make some way to turn that on and off in a game so that you can kind of clean it up. I mean, but you know also that you're not going to be able to completely clean it up. And of course, the problems with Josh's kid, you know, when he's
Yeah.
got a development game in his basement, and sometimes the code comes through and David hasn't bleeped out things yet. He has to. Literally, what goes on with the game when you switch from profanity to non-profanity, he has to load the entire series of callouts goes back into the game. It actually resets the game when you do that in settings. You go in and tell it profanity or clean, and it'll reset the game if you've been playing it one way and you want to switch it to the other, because it has to load all of those sayings up in there. And David has done every single one of those and cleaned them all up and set them all up and put them in there to call out. But he's made a set of them with bleeps, and he's made a set of them with the real words in there that they use. So it was a lot of added complexity, but you just can't abandon the customers that love Pulp Fiction for what it is, and being profane is a huge part of what makes that film so popular. It's what we're always quoting each other. We're laughing about those some lines all the time, and we need that anymore these days. People, we need people with a sense of humor again. Don't take everything so literally. You know, step back a little bit, smile, take it as it was intended. You know, it doesn't have to be so serious all the time.
Well, in David's defense, I mean, Pulp Fiction has 265 F words in it,
Wow,
with a
I didn't
grand
know that.
total of
It's got one F word. It just
431.
uses it 265 times. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
That's
a
true.
grand
That's
total
true.
of 431 curse words in the
Yeah.
total of Pulp Fiction. So there's a couple that
That's
he had
pretty
to.
dense. How long is the movie? The movie's like what, an hour and 40 minutes?
I If
Yeah.
so, then that's what that's a
Yeah,
that's two
it's three
swerves.
swears per minute. Yeah.
Yeah,
And people will still watch it from beginning to
Yeah.
end, you know, and they
Okay.
don't turn the volume down and do subtitles and things like
Pulp
that. They
Fiction
want
is
to hear
two
it.
hours and 34 minutes. So still, that's about 2 hours or
Yeah,
two
that's a lot.
two swears a minute.
Okay, here's an idea though. For family mode, what you need to do is hire Christopher Walken to read the lines and self-edit those.
Yeah.
So you can have Christopher Walken. Yeah. Does he look like it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think that would work really well.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, having the call outs themselves was a huge part of getting the license. And
Yeah.
you got to use that material, and you've got to also you have a you have to oblige to make it where you can take some of that out also. So
Do you
a
think
lot
you
of it
could
out.
have done this game without the callouts? Because you don't have a display screen. I mean, they're almost crucial. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
the
could get
call outs are
away.
what makes people's and I've seen it. People say it a lot too, and it's absolutely true that even with the bleeps in there, your mind fills in the bleeps for you. If you're that
Mhm.
big of a fan of that scene, you know what was said there, and you're almost saying it in your head, and it takes you to the scene itself. You see what happened in those scenes. You don't really need an LCD screen to have that back. So I think that's part of it too. That you know people know what he said there. These classic lines that people know him. I mean, they recite them constantly. So
Yeah.
What mode is your favorite to play?
I like to start the twist contest. I just think that's really cool. I love the way that music starts and trying to get the ball up into the pop bumpers. And there's a couple of sneaky ways to get them in on the side, but then trying to make the orbit shots, which are my personal green kryptonite. I don't shoot orbit shots very well, but I love that. I love that music and the way it all comes together. I just think it sounds really cool. And then you put the topper with it, and it's just like over the top, so to speak.
I don't know if you can speak to this, Butch, but I mean, this is your guys' first venture outside of Vacation America or whatever. This is your first venture into pinball that isn't a remake. Are we going to be seeing more titles that are drifting away from remakes? Are you still going to be making remakes? Can you talk to any of that?
We're still in the remake business. We I believe we'll be able to remake some of the remakes again in the future. You know, run another Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars and Monster Bash. I think we're still able to do that contractually. It's a you know the contracts up for renewal. We can do some certain things. They're in the negotiations with that. That's a Doug Duba question, and I know they're involved. I know that there's remakes we want to do. I personally am trying to talk Doug into more. And I think there's a lot of great games out there that
Hmm.
people would love, and that he's seeing as not that not that feasible or not that sellable. I think a lot of those games and those remakes era will work. And are we going to do more of that? I mean, this why if you play mechanics and you say you want to go into this and do a game of your own, and why would you stop if your first game
Yeah.
was a huge success? I mean,
Oh yeah.
This
I don't
seems
see
like
that.
a test case to see if, hey, can we do this and can we still make money at it? Because the bottom line is, pinball is they're selling pinball machines. It reminds me of the class, Steve Ritchie in the seminars. The first thing he says is, "Hi, I'm Steve Ritchie and I sell pinball machines." And
Yep.
that's the whole point, is that you have to make a profit and make something so they're not losing money on it, at least. So I think this is an excellent test case that could maybe whet their appetite for the next potential future opportunity out there.
Well, let me put it this way: that I know some of the numbers that were tossed around for what would be considered a success of a
Hmm.
play mechanics design, and we surpassed those numbers on the first
Oh,
day.
I
I think.
probably
I mean,
probably by factors. Yeah, like by
yeah, and
factors.
that's the other thing about people like that run Raw Thrills, that run Play Mechanics. Those guys love doing things that's cool. These this is
Hmm.
a cool game. This is you've shown that out of nowhere you can flash like a bolt of lightning here, and really take the market by surprise and by storm. They never even saw it coming. I mean, why would you not want to do another one? I mean, it seems to me like a good recipe for moving forward and doing more. But that's way above my pay grade. I just write manuals.
Well, you're doing really good at your job.
I'll tell you one thing about the cool thing is Quentin Tarantino thought having a Pulp Fiction pinball was going to be cool, and he didn't. I don't think he cared one bit about how many pinsiders thought that was just the baddest ass idea to
I
do too.
guarantee he has no idea what Pinsight is.
He doesn't even care. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so to see this kind of reaction to that from something that we did, and all started because he said no, that's not what I want. I want something retro, and that will be cool. You guys, you'll see retro can be cool, and just the whole fact that the pinball is cool. We our livelihood now, our hobby, our collection, all that stuff. We are just so fortunate that other people think pinball is cool. People like Quentin Tarantino, people like some of these parts manufacturers, after COVID and things, the way that the struggles that some of these places have made, we are very people ought to understand that you're a very small user of these parts manufacturers and their facilities. Pinball numbers, you make a few thousand of these. These people are used to making metal parts in the hundreds of thousands, plastic in the tens and hundreds of thousands, and we're just a small piece of that. But a lot of those manufacturers of parts do what they do for us and help us get to prototypes and onesies and twosies of really expensive normally things, is because pinball's cool. They're like, you guys are building a pinball machine? Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, okay, well, we'll make 50 of those and we'll make 500 of those. And we'll do that before we do this other order we have for 1 million parts. But you can't demand that of them, right? So
Right.
it's really cool that they think it's cool. And I mean, be honest. I mean, you tell people that you got a pinball collection. There's nobody that says, "Well, that's nice." I'm
I,
sitting next to people on an airplane all the time. They're like, "Where are you going?" And
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I'm going to such and such see my sister or something." And they ask you, "Where are you doing?" "I'm going to Ohio for a pinball show," and they'll just do like a double take, like that is so cool. And all of a sudden, they just get this big smile on their face. That is the neatest thing. So you build pinball, you get to work on pinball machines. You're around pinball is your job. That's just the coolest thing. And I've had people stop me when I'm coming through the airport security, and the guy's like, the line's backing up behind me while he's asking me, they still make those? And what do? You work for New Jersey, or you live there, or? And I'm like, I got to get my bag and get on the plane, But it's just so cool to them that it's just something they don't hear often, and it's really neat. We're very fortunate that what we do and what we love is so cool to other people.
Well, and I've got to toot your horn for a second, Butch, because you one of the things that I don't think I've ever heard from any other pinball release is everyone said how amazing the manual was and how the walkthrough was how to play this game. Like they were just blown away by looking at the PDF on your guys' website and how easy everything's laid out and how just straightforward it is for anyone to understand. And then how many people reached out and was like, this is what we need more in pinball. Like this is perfect. It's like,
So Mark comes to me. One of the first things Mark says is, "Can you help me with the rules? Can you help me illustrate the rules?" And they used to do shot maps in the Williams days. Can you help me do shot maps and explain the rules? And I said, "Heck yeah, I've done that a lot already." And so he says, "Well, that'll be great. When I'm ready, I'll send you the rough rules, and you can kind of draw them up and show me." So he sends me the rules, and I start working on how I would illustrate that and put arrows on the play field. I've done I spend months and months making a drawing of the playfield, an illustration of the playfield, top and bottom, looking at it directly from above, looking at it directly from below. So I can use the one from above as shot maps, because that looks, it's got a lot more detail in it than any of the shot maps Williams ever had in the front of their manuals. And so then I can just start adding graphics to the top of that, and I can do something that looks pretty cool, and it's all to scale and everything works. And so I did that, and I was real proud of myself. It's kind of like what I'd done before, but like everything what I'm doing with the Pulp Fiction manual, I'm trying to make the work that I did previously look, like I was an amateur. So I really stepped everything up quite a bit. I think if people like the other manuals I've done, the Pulp Fiction manual is still going to knock you out of your chair, because I've put that much more time and effort into it. But Mark looks at these and he comes back and just completely deflates me by saying, "Well, I think I'm going to need to see artwork and the insert labels and things. I don't think this is going to work for me. I'll check. I'll figure something else out." And I'm like, "Whoa, no, wait a minute. I can do better. Okay, so that wasn't good enough. Okay, all right. Well, check this out. So I can take the artwork files and I can superimpose them right over the top of the playfield drawing that I have, and you still have all the other parts. I can make the parts invisible that are, this or that. I can take things that are in 3 dimensions that are above the playfield, and I can make them translucent so you can see through them. And I can take the plastics artwork and I can put that in. I can put decals in. I can do all these things. I can make your signs and put them off the sign." And so I showed him. And then when I did all that, I'm like, holy cow, I can't see a red line on here showing me where to shoot anymore at all. It's way too busy. So I tried to think of some way that I could show that again and highlight what I'm trying to highlight. So I come up with this opaque white complete playfield mask that I put on, and then I cut holes in the mask to show little areas of the playfield I wanted to highlight with shots and arrows and highlighting the inserts that we're going to light and things like that. And he just loved it when he saw it. And then Josh Sharp started going through it and helping me fix up the areas, where I had things worded a little wrong or things like that. So we went through this iterative process back and forth. And then the play mechanics guys got the idea that they wanted to do a rules manual and put it out, and I thought that was a great idea. So it was the actual rules manual is just a small excerpt from the big manual that I've written for Pulp Fiction. It's showing the rules, so that worked out really well. People really appreciated that, and that's really cool too when you do things that haven't been done before. And it's like, it seems like a simple kind of thing, put out the rules to the game. Or the other companies I've worked for before, they wanted the rules kept top secret. You couldn't show them that. We want them to discover it themselves. So the next thing you know, somebody's playing it on a Twitch stream and showing everything to everybody. And I had more people come at me to shows and say, where do I start? What do I do? What's my goal? What should I be trying for first? What am I looking at? Why is this all lit? Well, I could explain it to you, but the guys that made the game don't want me to. So, but now I'm able to. So it's kind of nice.
it is nice.
So tell me about the ball locks on the playfield. You were talking about the mechanics being slightly different that you were working on.
So this game, everybody likes to call it a street level or single level game, but it really isn't. I mean, you consider the back panel a level of its own. It's up above the play field and things are elevated back there, but you just can't see it. You got a subway underneath that's below the play field, again, that you can't see. And there's a 4-ball lock in each one. And there's 4 balls in the game. So that means either one of those locks is capable of holding all 4 balls in the game during any type of mode that you want to stop everything and do something special. That's really cool in and of itself. As a matter of fact, I brought up that this was a 4-ball game at Texas, and then thought I had explained myself, and then I go back and I see on Pinside people are saying, "Oh, well, that means that you don't play 3 balls, you play 4 balls during a game now." I'm like, no. I mean, you can set it that way. You can set it from 3 to 5 balls, right? It's an adjustment, but when I say a 4-ball game, I mean that's the max you'll ever see on the play field at one time is 4 balls.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what you put in the trough to start it up. Because Williams used to put that, right? At the beginning of their manual. This is Theater of Magic as a 4-ball game or something like that. And they put that up in the top of one of the pages. So I thought it was kind of self-explanatory, but I needed a little more explaining, I guess.
I knew what
Anyway,
you mean.
these locks are
Even
really
like on the
cool.
old stickers too, the old stickers say install however many balls. I think they still do on every new pinball machine,
Yeah. So you got subways, you've got basically an inclined ramp across the back panel back behind there that can hold 4 balls in succession and keep track of them, how many are in each location. So that's really a cool thing. And it's a physical ball lock. Remember back in the days when we had physical ball locks, you didn't just shoot forever trying to get the ball in that hole and have it say, "Okay, ball 1 lock," and spit it right back out at you again. I put that at, you see how much work I put that in there? Now you're just kicking it back out. No, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to launch you another ball and you start all over again. So, and with the saucer and everything up there, that makes it great. So you get to try and get another character and collect and all that. It's fun.
Can you switch it to virtual ball locks if you prefer that?
I think you can probably shut those off. Yeah.
Because I know sometimes tournament players prefer the virtual option.
Yeah, they can flip or something like that.
I'm sure Josh Sharp,
do that in
understanding those rules, will do it.
Yeah.
I think of it more from a maintenance standpoint. If something were to break back there, you could disable it. But
still play.
Yeah, even then, I'm not sure with the way these work, that if any of your optos didn't work or how you would disable it, if a ball got shot up in there, I guess you could kick the thing and let it just come back out. That's something we will look into, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, Butch, there's a lot of information floating around about Pulp Fiction. We've covered a lot tonight. Is there anything that you just feel like we haven't touched on that the masses need to know?
Yeah, a couple of things that I wanted to hit on that I've seen some confusion about. The center post. People are saying, oh, that's not going to come in the game. It's an optional. So they said it's optional. It won't be in the game. The center post will be in the game, shipped from the factory. It will be manufactured with the center post in place. In the coin box, you will have a goodies bag, and part of that goodies bag will be a plastic plug if you want to take it out of there. And we've gone to great, CGC with making play fields and all that. We know what can happen if you try and pound a post out of the play field and it's in too tight. It can take some of the clear. It can tear up cause the veneer to come loose. It can cause all kinds of problems. So it's been specially made, specially screened around there and routed out so that post will come out fairly easily and be able to put back in. And then you could just take the plastic plug and put it in if you don't want anything. And the game will be brutal at that point. And we saw some people saying, well, why would you put a post in like that during the show when you want to shorten ball times? And I'm like, who said we wanted to shorten ball times? We didn't. Right. You're going to stand in line for 45 minutes. You want to play your ball too. You don't want to get up there to find out a game's. How can I show you what I've done in this game or what this team has put together with a 2-ball game and with the outlanes completely open and all that? That's not the way it's going to play in your home. Why would I want to introduce you to you like that? And we had people complaining about the ball times and the length of games and things like that. Somebody was telling me, you guys ought to outlaw 4-player games. I'm like, so you'd rather stand there and watch 4 people play one at a time rather than a 4? That will take a little bit longer, but pinball's a social game. I want to play with other players. I want to compete with someone, 3 other people. That's what's great about it. So, people were standing in line. Sometimes you get some of those people that one person stands in line and then 3 guys come up and join them right when they get to the game. That's kind of a bummer that people do that. But welcome to society, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the sound. The Texas Pinball Play Festival was like super loud. We had a pin sound booth next to us that had like 8 games facing straight at us. I was telling people, when we were raising our volume, their volume would go up, and in between our two booths, I was calling it the kill zone. I mean, you couldn't talk in there. It physically hurt my ears to stand in there. And I'm a social guy myself, and pinball is a social game. I like to stand there and talk to people while they're playing, and I just couldn't do it in Texas. It was too loud. And in fact, the last day, I went in with earplugs. I couldn't stand it anymore. It was hurting too bad. And, damage to your ears is cumulative. That stuff, it doesn't get better. Your ears don't heal. They just get worse. So,
Yeah.
it was unfortunate the way that the layout was there, that they couldn't hear things a little bit better. But, it's a loud floor out there. Some of these smaller shows that we'll have the games at, you'll get a better feel for what it sounds like. And it was cool that we were able to put the profanity on for a while after hours and things like that. So that's a thing we'll try and do at the other shows too. So we can kind of please both sides of the fence there. But it's tightrope.
Yep.
Well, I know one question that we have not covered tonight that I think a lot of people are asking, and I don't know if you can give us a straight answer, Butch, but when are we going to start seeing these games? When are they going to start shipping out and getting people's homes?
Yeah, that's a good question. And me working for CGC like I do, I don't like to talk about specific dates for sure, but you know, we're doing we're doing things the right way. We're doing things in our own speed, and they're going to be done when they're done, and when they ship, they ship. And I know that's a horrible answer. If I order, I wouldn't want to hear that. Just know that I was going to get a prototype game a lot longer previous to when I got my game than I did. But I waited for it, and it was worth the wait. And I hate telling people that, but there's no reason to believe that CGC is going to drag their feet, that Play Mechanics is going to just kick back now while we've got everybody beaten to a froth and just say, well, now let's see how long this lasts if we don't ship games. We're going to try and get them out just as quickly as we can. We're going to do everything we can to get them in people's hands, to get them on location where people can play them. And the games are going to be great. And we had a lot of bake time on this, and as such, we're going to be careful in the final steps, which is production and actually getting them into your hands. We want to know how they're going to work and how well they're going to survive. For instance, the drop targets on this game. I said in Texas last year at the finishing Cactus Canyon seminar, that we worked on all these drop targets for Cactus Canyon, when in fact we really kind of worked on them for Pulp Fiction. They were being fixed up and readied for Pulp Fiction. So we were doing work even during Cactus Canyon um, development on the drop targets so that they wouldn't brick and they would stay up. And you can see in the Pulp Fiction application of those same targets that that a lot of the things that we did are working very well. And it took a lot longer to get Pulp Fiction and Cactus Canyon out because of that, but both games are better for it. And it's just I'll say it again. There's like 3 things: you can have it fast, you can have it good quality, you can have it cheap. The fast one is just not going to be the choice. You can have 2 or 3. We're gonna put the third place the time all the time. That's just the way it's going to work. We're going to give you a good quality product, and people have been raving about the price. We're trying to keep these games as cheap as we can. I think we're doing a really good job of it. And I think we're still building them really good too. It just it takes a little longer to do. I've heard third quarter. I'll put a number out there like everybody else is hoping for. I'm hoping as much as anybody, and I know the rest of the team is as well. Doing everything we can to get them as quick as we can.
So I'm just going to give a quick shout out. Where are you this week? So we're recording April 11th, but where are you this week? And I want to make sure that people know, like, hey, these events are out there. So what are you promoting?
I am
this week?
At my good friend Keith Campanelli's house. This is his spare bedroom where he puts me up, and I am here for Brew, which will be starting Brew, Ohio, which will be starting up in Girard, Ohio, on Thursday. That'd be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And this is craft breweries getting together. They're going to have 8 different breweries coming, bringing their crafts in, and they'll be playing pinball and drinking beer all weekend. And I don't drink myself, but I'll be playing the pinball part and have a Diet Coke with me. So yeah, it's great. It's a great show. It's the second one I've been to. It's the third one overall. I think Keith was actually on you guys' show,
He
promoting the
was.
first COVID.
Yeah, he was. It was the first show after basically when people started opening up after the COVID lockdowns. So
Yeah,
it
people were
was
giving
interesting
them
to
a hard
talk
time.
about him trying to okay, we want to do a show, but how do we do it responsibly?
Yeah,
But and people still were itching for that social aspect, which is why the value of pinball machines skyrocketed because people wanted that experience. They craved that experience, and if they couldn't go to a bar or an arcade, then they wanted that in the home.
yeah. I see over Josh's shoulder all these pinball machines back there. If you had
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 people there, they'd be playing, and you'd be playing with them. When you're all by yourself, your machines are just beautiful. You're just you don't seem to give them much time to play them, but it's a social thing. Get out there and
Yeah.
come to these shows. They're great. These people are putting a lot of effort into making these places available to people, like-minded people, to get there and enjoy each other's company and a passion, share the passion together, and drink some beer, have some fun, make some
Or
new
for you,
friends.
drink a
It's a
Diet Coke.
game.
Yeah,
What's
drink a
that?
Diet
Yeah,
Coke. I'll drink
I'll,
a Diet Mountain Dew. So
I'll drink
there,
my
there you go.
Fresca. I like my peach Fresca. That's good stuff.
mhm.
Well, and Butch,
Whatever toots your horn right there. Yeah, drink it.
yep.
Thank you
Well,
so
and
much, guys.
I really think honestly, CGC should make you the spokesperson because you put our concerns to rest. Like you're always a great spokesman. Whenever I hear you at Texas, whenever I hear you at Expo, you believe in this product and you're right. Like I can't remember. We had sat down at breakfast at Texas last year, and you said, no one remembers how long it took the game to get out. They always remember the problems that they have with the game when they have it.
Yeah,
Once they have the game, and if it's quality and it's amazing, they're gonna love the game for the rest of their life and not have an issue with it. And that's what they're gonna remember is the love of the game, right? So if it
that's
takes a couple more months, then
that's
so
right.
be it, because you don't want to put out a bad product and then it leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Doug Duba says it best. They'll forgive late, but they won't forgive wrong.
Yep.
It's very
I
true.
will say from my perspective, the number of CGC games I have purchased is 3. The amount that I have sold is 0. They're staying. They're not going anywhere.
They're amazing games and they've retained their value. I mean, no one really talks about that. And that's what shocks me. Like outside any other company, outside
Mm-hmm.
maybe Stern, everyone else's product just deflates. But CGC's
CGC does not.
and Stearns,
Mm-mm.
yeah, they're bulletproof.
I've had people
And
come up to me at shows and tell me, I
Yeah.
go work on this guy's collection, and he has all the CGC games at the beginning of one line, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to mess with those there. All these other ones are broken, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to mess with those CGC games. They're like
yep.
tanks. And
Hey,
as
Butch,
far as
if you can get me a line on a Monster Bash with a topper, let me know. Shh.
we'll see what we can do. Say all your prayers and eat your vegetables and be a good boy,
Mm.
and maybe it'll be one of your Christmas
Are you
stocking
Santa
next year.
Claus now? You're Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a great job too. I think I got the greatest job in the world. I tell people that all the time. And my passion, I can't hide it. I'm sorry, but it's part of. I told Jack Graneri when he first started talking to me, and I told him, I said, I put my passion for pinball up against anybody's.
Yep.
I said, I just love this stuff, and I can't hide it. So thank you guys.
Speaking of your company and working for you, if you're looking for a job, they are hiring right now for a pin tech. You do have to live in the Chicagoland area, but if you want to send your resume in, talk to Kathy there at CGC. You can find the phone number there on their website. It's a wonderful company to work for. If you want to work with Butch, you've heard him for almost an hour now. And this man bleeds passion. You'd want to be around this every day. I mean, it's amazing. So great company.
If you can.
Like you said, Scott, they're just quality product. I have no
Solid.
complaints when it
Solid.
comes to
Yeah.
the build quality and the amazingness that is a CGC product.
Yep, completely agree.
Looking forward to more of them. So, yep.
Always. You guys aren't going anywhere, right?
Not that I know of. I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm having a blast.
Well, good.
It's great
Scott,
to
do you have
see
anything?
people enjoying our stuff and being able to play it. And there's no greater thank you that we could get from the pinball community than the reception we've received with Pulp Fiction. And we're damn
Definitely.
proud
Well,
of
if
that.
you're in Ohio this weekend, go ahead and go to Pin Brew and hang out with Butch and play the game.
No, not with Butch. Mark Ritchie's going to be here too. Come
Okay,
hang
we'll
out
play
with
with
him.
Mark. Play with Mark. We interviewed Mark last, so
Yeah.
If you want a cheap date, apparently take Butch because all you got to do is buy him some Diet Coke. So
Diet Coke,
we'll
yeah,
have
you can buy those.
Here. 2 Pulp Fictions to play here at Pin Brew, so come play them.
Nice. Scott, you got anything else for us that we can think of?
You know what? I'm just man. This last month has been crazy for pinball. It's been so much fun to get the excitement because there was a lot of anticipation, and I would say this is one of the few times where the hype was justified.
Yes,
for all the games. I'm truly excited for all the games that are coming out, and it's a great time to be alive.
Yep. And I'm going to plug our product right now. I am currently wearing the Keith Elwin shirt. I know you haven't been able to see it. Mike's kind of in the way. But if you want to get a hold of this or other sweet swag, we've had a lot of people get the shoes. A lot of people got the shoes.
I actually still need to get my shoes, but you got the shoes. Did you like them?
I got the shoes. My son has the shoes. I have not given them to him yet.
Yeah.
But I did get my shoes. I love them. And they are true to fit size. So I wear a size 12, and 12 came in and they were perfect. I mean, they feel comfortable. I'm the kind of guy that I'm a firm believer in orthotics. I'm only 35, but I'm always on my feet all day. And so if you're worried about the comfortableness of the shoe, buy some orthotics. I do the FP insoles. That I found those are amazing. Those are the best ones. But seriously, silverballswag.com/collections/loserkidpinball.
That's where you can Loser Kid Pinball Silverball. You'll get it.
And there's a ton of product there. Shoes, shirts, backpacks, tumblers. I mean, coffee mugs with the original logo. We've got plenty of original logo. We've got Keith Elwin. We've got the print.
Brad Albright.
The Brad Albright print. And we went with this print because Brad actually had suggested that we do something that's more iconic imagery to pinball. So that way you want to wear it. It's not all inside joke stuff. And you know what? I think he was right. I appreciate all the input Brad gave us. And he was like a third team member on this. So we'll have to get Butch something. We'll have to,
absolutely.
Maybe he wants some sweet shoes or something.
Size shoes, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome.
I'm almost 60, and I believe in orthotics too. I've come to believe them. I don't have to be on my feet all day for them to hurt. So
Exactly. Well, if you're in a pinball tournament, especially like the Sanctum or something like that, you're on your feet for 24 hours. You're definitely going to want them, right?
Yep.
If they want to get a hold of you, Butch, how do they get a hold of you?
I am Butch at Chicago-gaming.com. So Chicago-gaming.com. Butch at Chicago-gaming.com.
Awesome. And if they want to get a hold of you, Scott, how do they do that?
Facebook's the easiest way. Just
they get him some shoes.
You can always drop an email to us. That goes to Josh, but he lets us know if there's something I need to see. So.
Correct. And if you want to get hold of us, then hit us at loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. All the socials, so Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, all at loserkidpinball. I think we even have a TikTok now, and I don't know what we're going to do with it. I do want to give a shout out to Jen Rupert, though, with No Coin Drop Required. She's doing some amazing stuff. She got her shoes, and she put out some sweet videos with her shoes. And thank you so much, Jen, for everything you do for us.
And you guys, get out from under those headphones and get out to a show every once in a while. We need to see more of you. Come on.
I will definitely be at Chicago. I have a pretty busy schedule until then, but definitely reserve me a breakfast there.
Pin Brew next year.
Okay.
You still owe Keith one.
Yeah, I do owe Keith. Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Butch.
you so much, guys.
All right, see you in 2 weeks.
You bet.